If I see anybody with a pair of these, I'm evacuating the premises immediately. What is up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about mystic eyes. Now, I'm sure there's a couple of mages out there that have spent their entire life to come up with one spell. That's cool, and I applaud you for that. But what if I told you that there was a way that we could produce those same exact results by just having a pair of mystic eyes? As you can probably imagine, mystic eyes allow the wielder to actively manipulate the world that's around them. The most common way to obtain them is hereditary. People that just so happen to have mutations in the magic circuits around their eyes since birth. And we're not just talking some low-level magecraft. If you are one of those who are lucky enough to be born with these eyes, you can cast spells on the level of sorcery, which is some of the strongest spells around. Simply having a pair of these already classifies you as a first-rate magus. Now, there is a long list of mystic eyes, each of which having their own drawbacks and things that they're good for. Shiki Ryogi, for example, is the first character in the Nasuverse to have mystic eyes, period. So if any of you copycats would like to pay homage, feel free to show your respect in those DMs. Shiki has the mystic eyes of depth perception, which allows her to see the vitality in a target. Since everything in the world is eventually destined to wither away, she can access that target's point of death, whether that be a person or something that's intangible. This means that if she's able to get close enough, her eyes will locate several vital points all over the opponent's body. So even though her weapon of choice is only a dagger, if she locates that point, she could flat out slice off your entire arm in one shot. Even though by normal standards this would be impossible due to the lack of force. They even give visibility to weak points on enemies that would otherwise be coined as invincible. Shiki Tono from Tsukihime has these same pair of eyes. Then you have Fujino Asagami, another wielder from Kyokai who was born with the mystic eyes of distortion. This gives her the power of telekinesis, letting her bend any target in her perimeter as much as she pleases. In the story, she manages to use these same eyes to crush an entire bridge while she's fighting against Shiki. Then you have Medusa, who has the mystic eyes of petrification. As the legend goes, this allows Medusa to stop an enemy in their tracks on sight and progressively turn that target into stone. It will then neutralize anyone who is unable to withstand its power and even drain their magical energy in the process. Some mystic eyes can see into the past, some mystic eyes can see into the future, and then you have people like Ophelia from Grand Order who can manipulate outcomes based on her target's capabilities. Rest assured that we got everything you need. But as we all know, not everybody is blessed enough to have their own pair of eyes. Not a problem. Why? Because some mystic eyes can actually be transplanted. And it turns out that mages are so invested in getting their own pair that they've started buying them off the black market. We had a deeper look into how this operates in the El Malloy case files. Rail Zeppelin, which is a train that shoots all around Europe, is used primarily for people to auction off their mystic eyes to anybody that's feeling desperate. Depending on who you ask, these eyes might cost you a fortune. And just to get an idea of how far some of these people are willing to go, you have some mages who will decapitate a passenger on this train and just use their mystic eyes in their skull instead. It gets real out here, my guy. Now, I've heard of getting your head in the game, but I would have never expected some shit like this. Holy! So look, for those of you who weren't fortunate enough to get their hands on the original, there are scenarios where you can get a knockoff, but it will be restricted to certain types of power. Waver's student Yvette, for instance, has 3 different artificial mystic eyes that she can swap between whenever she feels like it. One of which allowing her to read human emotion, one of which allowing her to set her targets on fire at will, and then another that allows her to see magical energy, which helps her locate different ley lines. albeit the cost of her having these eyes are pretty high since her brain has been modified over 50 times to accommodate. Each mystic eye has their own dedicated class made by the association based on color. Red and green are for the ones that are most basic. Gold eyes for the ones that are a little more adept. And then the rainbow mystic eyes, such as Shiki's or Tono's, which is the highest class you can have of them all. Even the clock tower believed these eyes to be something you would see from a divine spirit. Now, one of the greatest features about having these eyes, of course, is the ability to keep them hidden, making it a lot easier for the Magus to keep this in their back pocket. The drawbacks, well, that just depends on the type of eyes that you have. Rhinus has a pair of mystic eyes that can sense magical energy, but they start to burn when she's in the presence of too much energy. For that reason, she's not very fond of being around huge groups of people. Likewise, Shiki gains a great amount of power from having his mystic eyes, but as a side effect, he often sees the lines and the points of death when he doesn't want to. This is what led him into rocking his mystic eye killers, which negate their effects and divert him from being nauseous and going crazy. His eyes are so powerful that sometimes even they don't get the job done. On the other hand, they can be used as a form of defense as well. Waver also has a pair of these mystic codes to protect himself from enemies who have these eyes. And although Ophelia has rainbow mystic eyes as well, it took her an excruciating amount of operations to reach that point. Eventually, you're gonna have to ask yourself, how bad do you really want it? All in all, mystic eyes are a very unique talent for you to have, and it's something that many mages are often trying to get their hands on. There is a plethora of eyes that we didn't get to, so you already know we have to devote an entire video going through that list on its own. If you have a favorite pair of mystic eyes, be sure to drop those in the comments. I mean, there's so many to go through. One day I might say Shiki, and then another day I might say Fujino, really depending on how I'm feeling. But it's a cool power regardless. Let me know what you guys think. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Shout out to all the patrons, and I will be back with more Tight Moon content. It is your boy Tsiah. I'm out.